Hi, I'm Lily. Today I'm going to read a story called Field Trip Fiasco. Okay, I'm going to read you the story. The Field Trip Fiasco. Okay, let's read it. It was the morning of the field trip to the zoo. Mrs. Hartwell's students tumbled into the classroom. They were very, very, very excited. Mrs. Hartwell, however, shuffled in slowly. She remembered the last field trip. It took a little bit of rest and a little bit of time and a lot of research, but eventually Mrs. Hartwell was ready to try again. The morning of the field trip, she wrote out of her very own list of field trip tips and put together her handy dandy just in case something unexpected happens back. Mrs. Hartwell felt ready for anything. During circle time, Mrs. Hartwell helped her students get ready. When does the fun start? Andy asked. Getting organized is fun, she said, smiling. Speaking of fun, let's review your learning task for the zoo. Who can tell me what it is? We're supposed to be animal observers, Madison called out, and write down what we see animals doing, Alexandra added. That doesn't sound like fun, Andy complained. It will be great. We'll all be focused and learn lots, Mrs. Hartwell said as she passed out the animal observation sheets. Can I go to the bathroom? Eddie asked just as he got to the bus. Hurry back, Mrs. Hartwell said directly as she assigned everyone their seats. Darn, Eddie said when he saw where he was seated. Mrs. Hartwell felt good. She felt prepared. She felt relieved that they gotten this far without any problems. As the bus began to pull away from the car, Miss Hartwell looked over her list again. Stop, she said, running on the aisle. Mrs. Hartwell hurried off the bus into the school and almost into the boys' bathroom. Eddie, Footloose field trip tip number 2. Take attendance often. You don't want to lose anyone. So the bus bounced along the highway. Mrs. Hurdle was happy. Her students were happy too. All of a sudden, instead of bouncing, the bus chugged. And then instead of chugging, it stopped. No problem, Miss Hurdle thought. She pulled out a huge bag of animal crackers from her just-in-case bag. Everyone agreed that being stuck in the bus was absolutely perfect way to start a field trip. Footproof field trip tip number 3. Be prepared for delays. Food works. Soon enough, the bus was fixed, and then arrived at the zoo. Mrs. Turtle lined up everyone and partner and asked them to count off by twos. The class counted on the way to 26. 26? But we only have 24 students in our class. Who's in our class? Who's not in our class? Oh, Jack and Alexandra brought two little boys up to the front line. After a quick round, Mr. Pearl returned the boys to their teacher. Tip number 4. Pardoning prevents problems. Mrs. Turtle's class stayed at the petting zoo. Don't forget to fill your observation sheet. The goat has a beard and looks like an old man, Alexandra wrote as she walked. She didn't see any hay bale until she somersaulted over it. Ouch! Madison didn't see Alexandra until she somersaulted over her too. Ouch! Mrs. Turtle got a few hugs as she hustled her students away from the petting zoo. Just because you're observing the animals doesn't mean you can stop or observing where you're going. Tip number 5. Bring a first aid kit with lots of bandages. Don't forget your observation sheets, Mrs. Turtle called out when they got to the elephant common prop. The mama elephant is standing quietly with his baby, Alexandra wrote. The baby elephant had his eyes closed. I bet he's sleeping, Madison wrote. This is boring. They aren't doing anything. There is nothing to write, Eddie wrote. Everyone was so busy writing that no one noticed that Daddy Elephant take a big, long, thirsty drink. Eddie screamed the loudest. I didn't see him coming. Oh, spray! Or the students screamed. Oh, I forgot one page. Oh, and drank soak a lot of water and then splash on Eddie. Eddie screamed the loudest. I didn't see him coming, he moaned. Thought Mrs. Orwell as she dried Eddie's off and helped him put on some new clothes. The aviary was the next stop. This is like walking into a giant bird cage, Jack yelled. Write it on your observation sheet, Mrs. Turtle reminded him. Everyone looked like quickly, and then got busy writing. They were so busy writing that they didn't see the baby birds peeking out their nests above the door, and they didn't notice the sparrows taking a bath. But they did hear the parrot squawk as it flew over Eddie and then observed something wet and white drop on his head. And then watched Eddie jumping up and down, yelling, "Gross, y'all, get it off me!" Oh, bad things happened to Eddie. But even after Mrs. Hurtwell wet wiped and paper toweled him off, Eddie was still howling. That's when the zookeeper appeared and said with a smile, "Did you know that many people consider an accident like this sign of good luck? Congratulations!" He handed Eddie a special badge and a free pass to the zoo. Oh, Eddie stopped screaming. He smiled. "Why does weird good stuff always happen to Eddie?" Andy asked loudly. And that gave Mrs. Turtle an idea. "Class, Eddie's good luck is going to rub off on us. Put away your observation sheets for the rest of the day. We'll continue to be animal observers, but we'll be animal observation writers later." Wow, everyone cheered as they put away their observation sheets and headed out to see the rest of the zoo. The monkeys chattered, and so did the students. The lions roared, and so did the students. The hens laughed. The hyenas laughed, and so did the students. Throughout the rest of the day, the students noticed everything. When they got back to school, Mrs. Hortwell's class filled out the rest of their animal observation sheets. They had so much to write and talk about. They had learned a lot of their field trip to the zoo. Number 8. Give students time to share their experiences. And so had Mrs. Hartwell. Tip number 9. Field trips are for focused learning and fun, especially fun. Okay, so today I will just record field trip fiasco. Okay, bye. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend. Bye.